How embarrassing. My microphone and I dressed the same today.
Haha, just kidding. It's Halloween.
Hey guys, Halloween is like one of my favorite holidays, and for once it's on a Saturday. And also, we're not allowed to do anything fun, but we wanted to celebrate in some way, so we put together some of the scariest and most spookiest car-related stories that we could find, and low-key, some of these are legitimately terrifying. We put them in the order of least scary to most scary, so if you make it to the end, I will send each of you $100. Max, please put on camera that there's no way that I could afford that.
This is
D-List.
Big thanks again to Omaze for sponsoring another episode. You hear that? That is a twin turbo V8 making more power than you will ever need. The Audi RS Q8 isn't just fast, it's lap record at the freaking Nürburgring fast. And they don't just give those to everybody. So bop on over to amaze.com/donut to enter for your chance to win a 2020 Audi RS Q8 with taxes and shipping included. And if that's not enough for you, what are you figuring? Okay, how about $20,000 cash? Because Omaze is awesome. There you go. And if you still need more convincing, how about a donut fan won the Corvette Stingray that we gave away with Omaze earlier this year? What is up, Sebastian? Are you enjoying your vet? Best of all, every donation helps support the Ronald Reagan Medical Center at UCLA. These are the peeps who saved my life last year. So head over to omaze.com/donut to enter. It could be your car. It could be, it does the lights thing.
The Legend of the Black Volga.
The legend of the Black Volga comes to us from the cold and dreary land of the former USSR. Volga, if you didn't know, is an executive Soviet sedan. But just the sight of this particular Volga would send little shivers down the spine of any Eastern European. And if there's one thing I know about Russians, it's that these folks do not scare easily. Trust me, I've tried. The story originated in the 1960s, and it goes that the Volga would be seen circling certain areas where people had gone missing. Spot a Volga, poof, a kid disappears. Spot another Volga, bam, a lady gets kidnapped. Some witnesses claim that the driver of the Volga stopped to ask an innocent town person the time before yanking him into the car. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, James, sounds less like a haunted car and more like a creepy kidnapper. And to that I say, let me finish the story, please. Some thought children were being drained of their blood to feed vampires. Some believed victims' organs were being harvested and sold on the black market, but the Volga was also the official automobile of communist officials. So it is a slightly more likely scenario that if you were suspected of anti-communist activity, that the KGB would take you and your family away to an undesignated, probably deadly fate. Anyway you cut it, the Volga was an all-around agent of death and destruction.
No, thank you, please.
Luckily, in recent decades, the Volga has stopped snatching innocent humans from Soviet streets, and nowadays it serves as a precautionary tale to young children to not wander around alone at night or ever. Kind of like the boogeyman, but a car. A boogie car, if you will.
The ghostly hitchhiker of Rehoboth.
In case your mommy and daddy didn't tell you, picking up hitchhikers is hella dangerous. All right, you never know if you're going to get an annoyingly chatty drifter, a murderous fugitive, or even a ghost. One place you should definitely avoid picking people up for sake of your mortal soul is in the small town of Rehoboth, Massachusetts, along a stretch of Route 44. Rehoboth is one of America's oldest towns, and old towns have ghosts. It has 53 historical graveyards for hangry ghosts to hang out in. And it's right on the edge of the Bridgewater Triangle, which is known for all sorts of paranormal activity. Kind of like the Bermuda Triangle. Personally, I like to avoid all triangle-shaped areas, just in case that one of those spooky type ones. Flatiron Building, no thank you. Now, legend has it that the ghostly hitchhiker of Rehoboth was killed in a horrible accident and is now waiting for a ride from a good Samaritan out of his ghostly existence. Travelers who have reported picking up this ghost hitchhiker all have similar spine-tingling stories with this freeloading specter. After an awkward and silent pickup, the hitchhiker will suddenly and without explanation begin to giggle like one of those creepy clowns that your uncle hired to blow balloons at your 7th birthday party. As your discomfort mounts, this laughter ramps up and becomes maniacal. And I don't know about you, but besides triangles, maniacal laughter is like one of the top 10 scariest things in the world. And it doesn't stop there. Just when you think the sound of his laughter might pierce your poor little eardrums until the blood drips from your skull, he disappears. Phew, am I right? No, I am dead wrong, because once you pick him up, this ghostly hitchhiker's presence never leaves you. His evil dead vibes continue to cramp your style for the rest of your life. He appears in reflections in your mirrors. Your radio will go fuzzy like all haunted electronics do. Sometimes he'll jump right the freaking heck out in front of your car, forcing you to drive through him. He's a menace, and he should be avoided at all costs. So, how do you know if the dude you're picking up is this persistent and terrifying ghost? Well, the descriptions of him are all the same. He has reddish-brown, scraggly hair, a big old bushy beard. He wears dirty work clothes with jeans, but his most recognizable feature are his empty, dark, desperate, soul-sucking eyes.
The Phantom Crash of Bourbon.
Why, I love these blasts from the past. I'm itching for a ghost story that's a touch more modern and a little bit British. Picture this. It was a cold and foggy English night, just one day after the Surrey police Christmas party. And just as the bobbies begin to recover from their hangovers, multiple reports came flying in the station from drivers on the A3 of a car losing control and swerving off the road and down an embankment near Burpham. Yes, the town is called Burpham. The bobbies hop in their bobbymobiles and rush down to the scene, but when they got there was no evidence of a crash to be found. No broken glass, no debris, and just like my underwears, the underbrush was thick and undisturbed with nearly a skid mark in sight. Finally, after hours of scouring, the bobbies located a maroon Vauxhall Astra nose down in a ditch. But get this, the Vauxhall was covered in plants, dirt, cobwebs, and nearby the decomposing, mostly skeletal remains of the driver. Now, forensics concluded that the crash was 5 months old. Dental records identified the dead guy as 21-year-old Christopher Chandler, who'd been on the run from Metropolitan Police for robbery. So, I ask you this. If the crash was 5 months old, then what in the haunted heck did all the drivers see on December 11th on the A3? The ghost crash shook the town to its core, frightening Burpham residents from that stretch of the A3, and today, people avoid it at all costs. So if you're looking to get some meat pies or fish and chips and don't want to sit in traffic and don't mind ghosts, well then you, sir, just found yourself a shortcut.
James Dean's Death Car.
Double toil and trouble. There's something spooky about this rubble, or should I say rebel, without a cause. I'm talking about the curse of James Dean's infamous little bastard. That's what he nicknamed the P-Car 550 Spider that he was driving on the quiet California road the day that he met his maker. Now, just about a week before his untimely death, superstar actor James Dean had just purchased the 550 and brought it to a man named George Barris to customize it. If you don't know who George Barris is, he created a little car called the Batmobile, so safe to say he's pretty good at modifying cars. As the story goes, all right, he was on his way to test his new car out on the track at a race in Salinas. Now, unfortunately for Dean, his tiny Spider stood no chance against the 1950 Ford Tudor that he slammed into head-on, mangling the little Porsche and killing the rebel without a cause himself. But Dean's death is not the reason that this car is on the list. No, it's what happened after his death that is legitimately spooky. George Barris bought the wrecked Spider with the intention of displaying it to the public. Now, the first thing to go wrong happened as it was being transported back to the shop right away. The car slipped off the trailer and broke a mechanic's leg. Now, George sold the engine and drivetrain to 2 different race car drivers who used the parts to build their own cars. But, of course, those cars both resulted in independent crashes that killed one dude and left the other gravely injured. Then, Barris sold 2 of the tires from the Spider, and after being installed on the new owner's car, they freaking exploded. It's almost like the little bastard had something to prove, and safe to say, Barris was shaking in his little bat boots. So, he decided to hide the car away, only to be convinced by a safety organization to use it for a traveling show to caution drivers to slow down. But after the first exhibit, the garage that housed it burnt to the ground. But what's even creepier is the car was unscathed. These unfortunate and seemingly cursed events continued injuring and killing more and more people until finally, in 1960, during transport to Miami, the car vanished. And it hasn't been seen since. And honestly, I think it's really weird that a guy was parting out his dead friend's car that he died in.
The Golden Eagle.
Now, this last story is definitely the scariest of them all. In fact, it's the story that inspired the haunted Plymouth Fury that Stephen King conjured in his 1983 novel, Christine. That's right, Christine is based on an actual car that terrorized the town of Old Orchard Beach, Maine for decades. Decades! That's 10 years, multiples of them. Stephen King's automotive muse was a 1964 Dodge 330 limited edition called the Golden Eagle. All right, and it started life as a police car, and over the course of its stint as a cherry topper, it was assigned to 3 different officers, all of whom died as a result of horrible murder-suicides where they slaughtered their families and then themselves. What? 3? Like 1, sure. 2? I guess. 3? Burn it. Burn it. After getting the hint, the police force unloaded the Eagle where it continued to drive around the community. All right, it fell into the hands of a woman named Wendy, but Wendy doesn't go by her government name. No, Wendy calls herself the Sea Witch of Orchard Beach. She literally tracked this car down so she could add it to her collection of haunted cars. Is Nolan's car haunted? Fuck. Now, as you can imagine, local churchgoers and troublesome teens didn't take kindly to the idea that a killer car was still driving around their town. So throughout the 80s and the 90s, the Golden Eagle was vandalized over and over and over. Some people were trying to vanquish the demons that possessed it, and some were just having a little fun. But one thing all the vandals shared in common, so you guessed it, they died in horrifying ways. There were decapitations via semi-truck, lightning strikes, car crashes. One kid who touched the Golden Eagle went home, killed his entire family, and burnt his house down. All in all, the Eagle is rumored to have taken the souls of 32 people. Now, eventually, the townfolk of Old Orchard had enough, and they stole the Golden Eagle from the witch, dismantled it, and spread its parts across a whole bunch of different junkyards. But sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you just can't kill the devil. With the help of internet supporters, Wendy recovered almost all of the original Eagle parts and restored it to its murderous glory. Now, I certainly hope it stopped killing people, but there is no way to know for sure. I know Halloween's a little weird this year, but I hope you guys all have fun. Again, let me know your favorite candy down in the comments. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at James Pumphrey. Follow Donut at Donut Media. For more spooky car content, check out this episode of Wheelhouse Cars for Dead People. It's Hearses. Happy Halloween, guys. It's my favorite holiday. I love you. My favorite candy? Dots.